Welcome to our African Storytales channel. Today we have a story of the Induba Kingdom in heart of southern Africa. In the heart of southern Africa, nestled in a lush valley with emerald green fields and winding rivers, lay the magnificent Induba Kingdom. Ruled by the wise and benevolent King Somizi, the kingdom was a beacon of peace and prosperity. King Somizi, known for his kindness and progressive reforms, had transformed Induba into a centralized and organized state. His social, military, and cultural reforms had integrated beaten tribes into the kingdom, granting them full equality and opportunities for advancement in both the army and civil service. In the Induba Kingdom, the law was strict and unwavering. Sex before marriage was a crime punishable by death. The king's justice was swift and harsh, ensuring that the kingdom remained morally upright and honorable. However, despite his numerous achievements, King Somizi faced personal heartbreak. His 2 sons had been killed in battle, leaving him with 3 daughters, Princess Lwandle, Princess Nkosazana, and the youngest and most beautiful Princess Hlozokule. The princess was the embodiment of beauty and grace. Fair-skinned with round eyes set in an oval face, she had a gentle smile that could calm even the fiercest storm. Her hair was intricately braided with colorful beads, and she wore earrings made of pure gold that shimmered in the sunlight. She was adored by all in the kingdom, not only for her beauty but also for her kindness and wisdom. By tradition, the next ruler of the kingdom would be Hlozokule, along with whoever she married. The most bitter war the Induba Kingdom had ever fought was against their sworn enemies, the Godalwayo Kingdom. The conflict had ended a few years earlier with a decisive victory for Induba. King Somizi's leadership and the bravery of his warriors were still spoken of with reverence. Among those who had proven their valor was Makhosonke, a tall and imposing young warrior with a mysterious past whose piercing dark eyes, filled with a steely determination, revealed a warrior's spirit that was both fearless and unwavering. Makhosonke was in his 20s, with a face that was striking and intense, with high cheekbones and a strong jawline. His height was matched by his powerful build, with muscles honed from years of rigorous training and battle. His skin, a rich, deep brown, glistened with a sheen of sweat from the day's exertions under the hot African sun. His hair was styled in traditional fashion, short and neatly kept, and adorned with feathers that signified his status and accomplishments within the kingdom. Around his neck he wore a simple necklace made of bone and beads, a talisman of protection and honor. His daily attire consisted of a traditional cowskin loincloth, the tan and white patterns of the hide contrasting against his dark skin. The edges were frayed from wear, a testament to the countless battles he has fought. His body was marked with battle scars, each one telling a story of courage and survival. A particularly prominent scar ran diagonally across his broad chest, a reminder of a fierce encounter with an enemy warrior. Smaller, yet equally significant, scars were scattered across his arms and legs, souvenirs of skirmishes and close calls. In his right hand he holds a spear, its wooden shaft smooth and polished from use. The iron tip gleams menacingly, sharp and ready for combat. His grip on the spear is firm, fingers calloused and strong from years of wielding the weapon. In his left hand he carries a shield, oval-shaped and crafted from toughened cowhide. The shield is adorned with intricate patterns, painted in bold black and white. It is both a defensive tool and a symbol of his heritage, representing the strength and unity of his people. The shield bears the marks of numerous clashes, with scratches and dents that speak of its effectiveness in protecting its bearer. As a warrior, he was a living embodiment of his people's history and traditions. He was never seen without Ndlamadoda, his battle-tested assegai, its wooden shaft smooth and polished from use. The iron tip gleamed menacingly, sharp and ready for combat, signifying a warrior who stood ready to defend his land and his people. Makhosonke's story began in the ashes of the Godwayo Kingdom. As a young boy, he had been found on the grounds of the Godwayo Palace by Mpiake, one of the Induba warriors, after the sacking of the kingdom. Godalwayo had been burned to the ground, and most of the men and boys were killed. Mpiake, having no sons of his own, took Makhosonke in and raised him as his own. Under Mpiake's guidance, Makhosonke grew into a formidable warrior. His skills on the battlefield were unmatched, and his dedication to the kingdom unwavering. His prowess did not go unnoticed, and soon his reputation reached the ears of King Somizi. King Somizi, impressed by Makhosonke's abilities and loyalty, invited him to the palace to become an aide. It was during this time that Makhosonke's path crossed with that of Princess Hlozokula. Princess Hlozokula was not only the most beautiful of King Somizi's daughters, but also the most kind-hearted and wise. She had a deep love for her people and was always involved in charitable activities. When she met Makhosonke, she was immediately drawn to his kindness, wisdom, and dedication to the kingdom. Makhosonke, in turn, found himself captivated by Princess Hlozokula's grace and compassion. They spent many hours together, discussing the kingdom's future, their dreams, and their shared commitment to their people. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day, much to the delight of King Somizi, who secretly encouraged their closeness. He saw in Makhosonke the qualities of a true leader, one who could guide the kingdom with wisdom and strength. However, their budding relationship was not without its challenges. Fatisa, the son of one of the king's inner circle, had long harbored feelings for Hlozokula. Encouraged by his father, Fatisa believed that marrying Hlozokula would secure his position as the future king. His entitlement and cruelty, however, were well known to Hlozokula, who had always kept her distance from him. Fatisa, of noble birth, was a man driven by ambition and cunning. Unlike the valiant warriors who earned their place through bravery and skill, Fathisa's path was paved with deceit and manipulation. He was a man of average height and build, with a demeanor that was more calculating than imposing. His face was finely featured, with sharp, intelligent eyes that constantly scanned his surroundings, always on the lookout for opportunities to further his own interests. His skin was a smooth, deep brown, and his hair was meticulously groomed, showing his attention to appearance and status. He often wore finely crafted traditional attire, adorned with luxurious beads and ornaments that reflected his status in the kingdom. Fathisa's most distinguishing feature was his perpetual expression of cunning and contemplation. His thin lips often curled into a sly smile, especially when he believed he had outmaneuvered a rival or gained an advantage. His eyes, though bright and observant, lacked the warmth of genuine affection or loyalty, replaced instead by a cold, calculating gleam. While he lacked the physical prowess of a warrior, his strengths lay in his sharp intellect and persuasive tongue. He was a master of words, capable of twisting any conversation to his advantage. His voice was smooth and honeyed, able to charm and deceive those who were not wary of his true nature. Despite his outward charm, Fathisa's true nature was one of cowardice and opportunism. He avoided direct confrontation, preferring to manipulate others to do his bidding. His jealousy of Makhosonke's relationship with Hlozokula consumed him, and he was determined to destroy their happiness by any means necessary. In the shadows of the royal court, Fathisa weaved his web of deceit, always watching, always waiting for the perfect moment to strike. He was a dangerous adversary, not because of his physical strength, but because of his ruthless ambition and lack of moral restraint. Those who underestimated him often found themselves ensnared in his schemes, their lives upended by his relentless pursuit of power. As Hlozokula and Makhosonke's relationship deepened, they faced numerous challenges. Fathisa's machinations became more devious, and he even attempted to sabotage Makhosonke during military missions. However, Makhosonke's skill and the loyalty of his comrades helped him overcome these obstacles. The proverbial straw that broke the camel's back was the announcement of Makhosonke and Hlozokula's engagement. Although it brought joy to the kingdom, it also ignited a dangerous jealousy in Fathisa's already infected heart. He connived to use one of the kingdom's drastic laws to exact his revenge on Makhosonke and claim Hlozokula for himself. He began by spreading insidious rumors. Whispering in the shadows, he suggested that Makhosonke was forcing Hlozokula to engage in sexual relations before their marriage. His words were carefully chosen to plant seeds of doubt and suspicion among the people, and slowly these whispers reached the ears of the king's council. The two lovebirds were summoned before the king to answer to the rumors. As per tradition, Princess Hlozokula was asked to prove that she was still a virgin. She agreed, and the matter was resolved. The king urged his subjects and whoever was spreading these rumors to stop. Fathisa's plans were temporarily thwarted, but his resolve to separate Hlozokule and Makhosonke only grew stronger. One evening, as Makhosonke and Hlozokule walked by the riverbank, they spoke of their dreams for the future.
I dream of a united Induba where all tribes live in harmony.
Hlozokule said, her eyes shining with hope. Makhosonke smiled, taking her hand.
And I dream of standing by your side, helping to make that dream a reality.
They stopped at a secluded area and sat down. They watched the shimmering water, its glow illuminated by the moonlight. The couple often retreated to this secluded spot to escape the pressures of their royal duties and spend moments of peace together. Fathisa, who had followed them, watched from a distance, his jealousy and hatred burning hotter with each passing moment. Makhosonke and Hlozokule were sitting close to each other, their hands intertwined, lost in a conversation. Fathisa knew that he had to act quickly. He rushed back to the palace, his heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and malice.
Your Majesty, I have urgent news.
Fathisa began, his voice laced with false concern.
It pains me to say this, but I have just witnessed something that threatens the honor of your daughter and that of the kingdom.
King Somizi, a wise and just ruler, leaned forward, his expression serious.
Speak, Fathisa. What have you seen?
Fathisa took a deep breath as if steeling himself to deliver the terrible news.
I saw Makhosonke and Princess Hlozokule by the river, Your Majesty. They were engaging in relations that are forbidden before marriage. I fear that Makhosonke has forced the princess into this.
The king's face darkened with anger and disbelief.
This cannot be true. Hlozokule would never dishonor herself or our kingdom in such a way.
Fathisa bowed his head, his voice trembling with feigned sorrow.
I wish it were not true, Your Majesty, but I saw it with my own eyes. If word of this reaches the council and the guards, they will demand justice according to our laws.
King Somizi's mind raced. He knew that if this accusation was made public, the law would demand the death of both Makhosonke and Hlozokule. He could not bear to lose his beloved daughter.
We must investigate this matter in private.
The king decided.
Show me where you saw them.
Fathisa led the king through a secret exit in the palace, a hidden door that opened into a tunnel leading to the secluded area by the river. The tunnel was known only to a few trusted individuals, and it ensured their passage would go unnoticed. The moon hung high in the sky, casting a pale light over the landscape as King Somizi and Fathisa emerged from the tunnel. They approached the river quietly, the sound of their footsteps masked by the rustling leaves and the gentle flow of water. As they neared the secluded area by the riverbank, hidden from the prying eyes of the world, the king's heart pounded with a mixture of dread and hope. Perhaps Fathisa was mistaken, perhaps there was another explanation. For Makhosonke and Hlozokule, the riverbank was their secret refuge, where they could speak freely and share their dreams. As they lay together, the serenity of the moment was shattered by the sound of approaching footsteps. In a heartbeat, Fathisa and King Somizi emerged from the shadows, their faces masked in anger and betrayal. For the king, the scene that greeted them confirmed Fathisa's accusations. Makhosonke and Hlozokule were indeed together, their intimate embrace a damning testament of their betrayal of the vows that were held sacred by the whole kingdom.
Makhosonke Hlozokule.
The king's voice boomed with a fury that echoed through the night, causing the couple to spring apart in shock.
What is the meaning of this?
Makhosonke, and Hlozokule scrambled to their feet, their faces pale with fear and confusion.
Your Majesty, please let me explain.
Makhosonke began, but the king's fury was uncontainable.
Silence.
The king roared.
You have dishonored my daughter and defied the laws of our kingdom. How could you do this? How could you force Hlozokule into such dishonor?
Hlozokule gasped, her face turning pale.
Father, please let us explain,
she pleaded, with tears streaming down her face.
It's not what you think. Makhosonke did not force me. We love each other.
King Somizi's eyes flashed with anger.
Enough! The law is clear, and the punishment for this crime is death.
Makhosonke, his heart pounding in his chest.
Your Majesty, this is not what it seems.
He began, but the king was beyond reason. Fathisa stepped forward, his voice smooth and persuasive.
Your Majesty, we must act. Quickly. If the council and the guards learn of this, they will demand justice. We can handle this quietly, to preserve the honor of the royal family.
The king hesitated, his mind torn between his love for his daughter and his duty as ruler. Finally, he nodded, his decision made.
We will deal with this in private. Makhosonke Hlozokula, you will be confined to the palace until I decide your fate.
Hlozokula, who had never before seen this side of her father, was overwhelmed by the shame and fear of the situation. She fled into the darkness of the night. The king's eyes followed her for a moment before returning to Makhosonke, now seething with anger and despair. He lunged at Makhosonke, striking him with a force fueled by the thought of what this betrayal meant for his family and his beloved daughter. Makhosonke, out of respect and love for the king, did not raise his hands to defend himself. He endured the blows, each one a testament to his loyalty and his love for Hlozokula. The king's fists rained down upon him, but Makhosonke stood firm, his resolve unbroken. Fathisa watched the scene unfold with a cunning smile hidden behind a mask of concern. Seeing an opportunity to eliminate his rival once and for all, he stepped forward, feigning an attempt to intervene.
Your Majesty, please, let me help,
Fathisa said, positioning himself between the king and Makhosonke. He drew his assegai, the tip glinting in the moonlight. In one swift motion, he plunged the poisoned blade into Makhosonke's side. Makhosonke's eyes widened in shock as the venom coursed through his veins, rendering him paralyzed and helpless. He fell to the ground, blood pooling around him. The king, too consumed by his rage, did not notice Fathisa's treachery until it was too late.
Makhosonke.
King Samizi cried, his anger giving way to horror and confusion. He knelt beside the fallen warrior, his hands stained with blood. Fathisa seized the moment, his eyes gleaming with malice.
Your Majesty, it is too late for him. We must preserve the honor of the kingdom.
Before the king could react, Fathisa drove the assegai into the king's heart. King Somizi gasped, his eyes filled with betrayal and pain. He fell beside Makhosonke, his lifeblood mingling with that of the warrior he had loved like a son. The night grew still as the riverbank bore witness to the treachery that had unfolded. Fathisa stood over the bodies of his fallen rivals, a twisted smile on his lips. He had achieved his goal, but the cost was higher than he had anticipated. Fathisa quickly cleaned his assegai and hid it beneath his cloak. His mind raced as he concocted a story to explain the deaths of the king and Makhosonke. He knew that he needed to act swiftly and with precision to avoid suspicion. Convinced that he was dead, he dragged Makhosonke's body into the river, his head hitting the rocks by the riverbank. He watched as the body floated, a satisfied look on his face. He quickly rushed to the palace, shouting that the king is dead, killed by Makhosonke.
Please like, share, comment and subscribe. The tragedy of the Zulu Hills will be coming soon to our channel. Stay tuned for episode 2 on the trials and the tribulations of Makhosonke. Thank you for watching.